Yo, what's good, y'all? Wanted to make a quick video about Romans chapter 2. It does a great job contextualizing the apostolic mission, the gospel spreading to all the nations. So if you ever have questions about the law, the Torah, what commandments should we follow, is it done away with, this and that, I pray you watch the video to the end because I really think this can help you out. Because we basically have two main schools of thought when it comes to the body of believers. You have the Hebrew roots, the Israelite stuff, which says you need to follow the biblical commandments. Agree 100%. But what does that mean? They say no pork, seventh-day Sabbath, all the feasts of Israel, which nowadays aren't even possible to keep to the full extent that is prescribed in the Torah, and all these various Israelite distinctives. These are what they mean when they say follow God's commandments. Every believer should be doing these as a matter of either salvation or more commonly obedience. That's opinion number one. Opinion number two, I would say, is the average Christian position, that the law is dead. The law is done away with. That's also false. I'm here to tell you respectfully that both those ideas are cap. I'm going to prove it to you in 2 seconds. But I just want to illustrate this because when you say that the law is dead, let me say this. There's a difference between not being under the law and the law being done away with. The law being dead. Because the New Testament, the Apostolic writings teach that we're not under the law, but the law is not done away with. When you say the law is done away with, it implies that it's completely done. We don't even need to read the books of Moses. There's nothing important there that we need to follow, which is a totally flawed opinion. Understand this. Let me read the verse first. All right. Romans 2, verse 23. Romans 2:23, right? All right. For circumcision indeed is of value if you obey the law, but if you break the law, your circumcision becomes uncircumcision. So if a man who was uncircumcised keeps the precepts of the law, will not his uncircumcision be regarded as circumcision? Then he who is physically uncircumcised but keeps the law, will condemn you who have the written code and circumcision but break the law. For no one is a Jew who is merely one outwardly, nor a circumcision outward and physical. But a Jew is one inwardly, and circumcision is a matter of the heart, by the Spirit, not by the letter. His praise is not from man, but from God. So here's what's amazing. The apostle here is teaching that even without the Israelite distinctives, when you keep the precepts of the law, your uncircumcision will be regarded as circumcision. So in that sense, you are still you regarded as a person of God, in the sense that in the Old Testament, the Israelites are the people of God, and that's something that's still upheld and affirmed in the New Testament. But for the first time in history, we have mass conversions of Gentiles. Gentile nations whose ancestors never had the Torah or the law are coming to believe in the Most High through Messiah, from when the church began, when Yeshua resurrected. The question is, do they have to keep the Israelite feasts? Well, the answer is a resounding no. Now, these things are never forbidden. Various things were designed to be Israelite distinctives. We can find this theme over and over in the apostolic writings. So now that outside of Israel, bunches of people are coming to believe in the Most High God, like, think about how unprecedented this is. Pagan cultures, these things that were designed to make Israel unique are no longer applicable. They're no longer required. So that's the position of the new covenant in Messiah. It's not required because of all these other nations, but they're never forbidden, right? They never teach against the law. So it's true that we're not under the law. But when you say the law is done away with, that's false. Because understand this, every time you follow the teachings of Christ and the teachings of the apostles, you are keeping the law. You are keeping the precepts of the law. Remember, Christ himself taught that the foundation of the law and the prophets is to love God entirely with your whole being and to love your neighbor as yourself. So people get stuck on definitions and That's sort of where the division comes to, because they think of one specific thing. Nah, when you follow Christ and the apostles, and you're doing everything that is right for a believer and Messiah, you are, my friend, following the precepts of the Torah. So when someone accuses you of being lawless for eating pork, or say you observe the Sabbath on a Monday as opposed to Friday sundown, Saturday to Saturday sundown, or you don't keep the Feast of Tabernacles, for example, if anyone sees these things in your life and says you're lawless, respond with this chapter, because biblically it's not true. If you are doing right by your neighbors, your family, you're honoring God in everything that you do, you are keeping the precepts of the law. You are keeping the Torah. That's the full circle thing to understand. So according to the Apostle Paul, even if you're not physically circumcised, even if you're not an Israelite member of God's family by the covenant to Abraham, by doing these things, by being doers of the word instead of just hearers in Messiah, you are keeping the precepts of the law, of the Torah. And in this way, these things are universal, and that physical uncircumcision you may have will be regarded as a spiritual circumcision, a circumcision not made by human hands in God's sight. So I want to make this quick video to talk about the two main positions are both flawed. We hyper-focus on specific things and specific definitions, and Romans 2 is a great chapter that contextualizes the place of the Torah, that it's not done away with, but that Israelite distinctives are not required on the entire body of believers. Right, it does a great job showing the place of the Torah in light of the gospel being preached to these other nations, and these other nations being blessed through the seed of Abraham. What's good, y'all? Alright, so a real nice way to conceptualize it in my own mind is like this. There's a very real sense in which Gentiles keep the law, keep the precepts of the law, even apart from circumcision, even apart from the cultural distinctives that make an Israelite an Israelite. And in doing so, in light of all these Gentile believers keeping the precepts of the law in Messiah, God will look at them in regard to their physical uncircumcision as circumcision. As doers of the law, God will actually look at them as being justified. So that's what I want to put down. There are one of y'all picking up what I'm putting down. Always pray for wisdom. Don't take my word for it. Read the scriptures themselves. If you got any comments down below, yeah, just pop them off, man. Let's get a conversation going. Y'all be blessed in the Messiah.